And thanks very much for joining us. A lot of focus at the moment on ESG, particularly in terms of the news lines and initiatives. I suppose, are you seeing that having an influence on the market at the moment?
Yeah, I definitely see an impact, and I think we can see a lot on the broad sustainability agenda, especially with the focus on climate. And here we're seeing initiatives like the Net Zero Asset Owner Alliance, which is the commitment of asset owners to decarbonize their portfolios by 2050. And in the real estate sector, we definitely see that these kinds of initiatives put questions and require actions from all actors along the value chain of the real estate sector.
What are the challenges, I suppose, for investors, asset managers around this, and what kinds of information are available to help them?
I think what we're seeing is that at the moment, there's a challenge about integration to risk management and maybe also deriving strategic decisions out of information that can be generated around climate risks and opportunities. And I'm not talking here only about the quantification of CO2 emissions, but especially also on the impact on building values and the valuation practice itself.
And in terms of those building values, I guess, are you beginning to see some data coming through?
Yes, exactly. So here, usual or also recommended approach, for example, by the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, which was led by the Financial Stability Board, offered the idea on using here so-called climate scenario analysis, which, let's say, simulates climate scenarios and how the entire economic system, but also individual sectors, might evolve across different climate temperature pathways. So we could, for example, compare the development of a building value in a 3-degree climate scenario, which is maybe something in the direction to business as usual, and where we see many scientists saying at the moment that this could be the path we are most likely taking. But we can compare it also to the financial impact we see under a more ambitious scenario, like a 1.5-degree scenario, which is also committed by the Net Zero Asset Owner Alliance.
And do you get a sense of the take up of this, Anne, in terms of engagement with the industry more widely?
We see that what has mainly started maybe in the angle of sustainability officers has been now mainstreamed across the organization. So we see that risk managers get involved, but also valuators. And we see that maybe the biggest challenge here is that usually valuation is a highly regulated procedure, and that the use cases, let's say, to change or adjust the perspective, which is usually having a given time horizon, is starting to change when we look into how risks and opportunities should be valued.
And in terms of trends going forward, and what are you seeing? What are you expecting to see?
My expectation is that definitely these both sides of the medal, so let's say the climate impact, CO2 emissions, etc., this will become a market standard. At the moment, we have still many data issues on this side, but I hope we have overcome this in the next 2 to 3 years. And on the other side, we mainstream, let's say, altered valuation practices, actively taking into consideration climate risks and opportunities into building values. And I'm also expecting that the market will guide us into this way. So what we already can see now in some research studies is, for example, that the credit default risks is lower for energy efficient buildings. And I think that's points us into the direction we might going.
Just talk me through, for those who don't know, the climate excellence tools that you've got there.
Yeah, at PwC, we accompanied, let's say, the development of climate scenario analysis since about 8 years now. For real estate, we're having a tool that is analyzing portfolios across building types, across countries, across scenarios. and which gives you the perspective on carbon performance, but also on financial implications. So what is the investment need for your portfolio or individual building? What is the retained value in the portfolio across scenarios, and also how potential actions to mitigate a valuation decrease could be encountered.
Great, really good to catch up. Thanks very much, Anne.
Thank you, Richard.